And we got about 30 seconds now. We are backstage. Ability MKE Now will be starting at the bottom of the hour. There we go. Getting our sound all set. And with that, enjoy the show. Let's have some fun. And just stand by. We got about 5 seconds. Welcome to Ability MKE Now. My name is Sue Roskoff. Ability MKE Now is where we are dedicated to inclusion, connection, community, bringing people together and being relevant to everybody. That's exactly what we do here, bringing people with disabilities and people that don't have a disability together, enjoying life here in the Milwaukee area. We all have our own experience with disability, whether it's our own, with people we know, or with people we encounter in our everyday lives. We all have different and unique abilities, and that is what we celebrate. Here at Ability MKE Now, we celebrate the ability in all of us. And I'm going to give a big shout out to my co-host who is not joining us today. Michael Martin Hummel is an amazing writer, speaker, and podcaster, and he truly is dedicated to bridging the gap between disabled and able-bodied communities. Look forward to having him back with us again next week. But he's missing out because we have the most amazing guest joining us today. Nick Prefontaine is truly a unique individual that I am thrilled to have with us. After surviving a life-threatening snowboarding accident at the age of 14, his parents being told that he might never walk, talk, or eat independently again, Nick defies all odds. Today he inspires audiences with his story of resilience and the step system that he developed to help anyone overcome adversity. And as a best-selling author and nationally recognized motivational speaker, Nick has shared his message with thousands across the country. He is the founder of Common Goal, a movement dedicated to helping people take the next step toward their full potential. Nick, it is an honor to have you joining us today. How are you?
I'm so excited to be here today. This is going to be fun.
Excellent. Well, do you want to give us a little bit more of the background on your story and how you've come to be where you are today?
Sure, yeah, happy to. So my story goes back to when I was only 14 years old. I was in eighth grade, and we got released a little bit early, which is always a big deal when you're only 14 years old. Got to miss a little bit of school for ski club. And my buddies and I had actually brought our snowboard gear on the bus to get ready so as not to miss a precious moment once we got to the mountain. We got to the mountain, headed straight for the chairlift. On the chairlift ride up, we noticed that it was very icy because it had been raining earlier in the day. We didn't think anything of it. We knew what we were doing, in other words. So where the chairlift went over was right over the terrain park where all of the jumps were, like the things you see on like the Olympics and like the X Games and like jumps and rails and things like that. So I knew from the chairlift as soon as I saw it that I had to go off the biggest jump in the terrain park. So got to the top, buckled into my snowboard, took a breath of that crisp winter air, and confidently charged towards that jump with all my speed. And going up to the jump, I caught the edge of my snowboard on the snow going up the jump. And that's the last thing that I remember. They wanted to bring a helicopter to the mountain to rush me to the hospital. They couldn't because it was too windy, so they had to send in an ambulance. And out of all the paramedics, out of the 6 paramedics on staff, there was only one who could intubate right on the spot, and I needed that to be able to breathe. Lucky for me, he was one of the paramedics that showed up to the mountain that day. And Sue, whenever I'm retelling this story, it's always really easy for me to remember because there were 3 things that I credit for being able to be here today with you and your listeners and tell this story. So that was the first one. The right paramedic was not even in the area. He was in the parking lot when he got the call.
Oh, wow.
Then, secondly, although I didn't have a helmet on, the pair of goggles that I had on were very thick, with a lot of padding. So the doctors, people that saw it, that were there, experts said that not only did, based on the injuries, not only did the goggles brace my initial impact, but as I continued to roll down the hill and continued to hit my head, the goggles moved and cushioned each blow between my head and the ice. And the third, and I think the most important thing, is once I got to the hospital, I mean, listen, I was out. I was in a coma, partially induced coma, in the intensive care unit, unable to communicate with anyone. And each time the doctors would come into my room to share progress updates on how I was doing, my mom stopped them and she said, "No, no, not in front of him," because she knew that even though I was in a coma, I was still taking in information. So she made the doctors step outside the room, and that's when they told my parents that I probably wouldn't be able to walk, talk, or eat on my own ever again. And even if I was able to come out of the coma, there was a good chance that I would need 24-hour care for the rest of my life. So my parents didn't accept this like so many patients do as a death sentence. They took the information, thanked the doctors, and then just allowed me to treat it like any other situation. So this was no different than any other challenge that I have faced up to this point in my life. And because I didn't know any of that news, I just treated it as such as any other situation. So I ended up being in the coma for 3 weeks. I really don't remember a month because it was a partially induced coma. Then after a month, I was transported to a rehab hospital in Boston, and that's where I began my journey. And it was unknowingly at that time, I used a system to not only make a full recovery, but run out of the hospital. And that's the STEP system. That's what I teach to this day. STEP, I'll give like a 10,000 foot view of the STEP system. So STEP stands for support. Make sure that you have the support of your family and friends right from the beginning. This is going to have you falling back on relationships that you built prior to your setback. T is trust. Trust that once you take your first step, your next step's always going to be available to you. E is energy. Maintaining your energy allows your body's natural ability to be able to heal itself, and medication has the potential to get in the way of that. And finally, P is persistence. So once you take your first step, keep getting up every day and taking your next step. So if you fast forward less than 60 days later after being transported to the rehab hospital, I realized my goal of running out of the hospital. And it wasn't like my work was done. I had to continue to go to outpatient therapy for another 6 months, along with being tutored all summer long, 5 days a week, in order to continue on to high school with the rest of my classmates. And fast forwarding a little bit, just because I know we're short on time here. After high school, I got my real estate license, started helping buyers and sellers, as a realtor in sales. And then my dad came to me in 2014, said that he was buying homes, real estate creatively, and he needed someone's help with putting them on the rent to own market. So it's different than being a realtor and conventionally listing them. So I started doing that. And then that turned into helping him with the buyers that were calling. And that was a full-time task. So over the course of the next 13 or 14 months, my income shifted, where I was making the majority with him as an investor. So I let my real estate license go, joined him full time as an investor. And ever since, and that was in January 2016. So ever since 2016, we have been holding events where I've always had the opportunity to tell my story. And this has meant the world to me because since I got out of school, since I got out of high school, I've always had this voice in the back of my head, no matter what I'm doing, saying to me, "Yeah, great, Nick. But what you really need to be doing is telling your story from stage and helping trauma survivors thrive with the rest of their lives. So I always thought by sharing my story at our events once in a while was doing it. Kind of, but not really. And that really let through a bunch of events, and I'm skipping a bunch of details on purpose here. Um, I led me to what I'm doing today with starting my company, Common Goal, and that's mainly helping people through their traumatic, whether it's traumatic injury, acute injury, life challenge crisis, through to the other side, and then to be able to thrive with the rest of their lives.
That is such an amazing journey that you've been on. And I absolutely love and admire how that you've taken something that affected you deeply here and are able to use that to help others. You got this wonderful outward focus towards other people around you, and that you've had that chance then to go out and speak. And tell us a little bit about what you do when you go out to speak to others. What does that look like? Are you on a big stage? Are you talking to small groups? Is it a little bit of both?
It is a little bit of both, and at the beginning of this journey, it was mainly brain injury associations, brain injury alliances all across the country. Because for the most part, most states have an organization like a brain injury, excuse me, alliance or an association. So when I started this journey 5 years ago now, believe it or not, I started this particular journey. That was my first point of contact, and it was brain injury associations, reaching out to them. Then that turned into speaking and sharing my story. And I mean, think of it like a 45 and 60-minute plus keynote. At their annual conference, usually being one of their keynote speakers at their annual conference. And then that turned into doing a bunch of webinars for them, which I've done webinars for the Brain Injury Association of America and other organizations and other associations all across the country as well. And now it's really, I'm really getting my message out there and telling my story much like I am today on radio and podcast guesting, which really allows me to help more people and to get my story in their hands in the STEP system. That's going to give them a framework to not only get through their challenge or crisis, but be able to thrive with the rest of their lives.
I love it. And truly that you having such an impactful story. I mean, I can't even imagine that when I think about your parents, the journey that this has been for them as well to hear, your son's not going to walk again. He's not going to talk again. And now look at where you are. That they had that wisdom just to tell the doctors, no, let's talk in the hall. Let's not, because I actually was an EMT for 10 years. And that is something they told us, like the people, even if they're unconscious, whoever you're working with, they might be able to hear you. They may not, but even if it's subconsciously, they're still hearing what's going on. So that they had that thought to say, we don't want to be putting that seed in your mind.
Mm.
I think that's brilliant on their side that they did that. And but I'm picturing myself as a parent. How would I react if I got news like that? And what an amazing support system. What an amazing journey that you've been on. Oh gosh, I'm in awe of that. I can't imagine what that was like because you had, man, to go through all of that and to be able to walk away from, well, run away from that point, and to launch that forward. And now you're at a point where you're helping other people around you. And I gotta ask now, with where you are now, what is your favorite thing of with going speaking, with what you're doing with the step system? What is your favorite part of all of that right now? What do you enjoy the most?
Great question. My favorite part about that right now is following my inner guidance, and listening to that, really tuning in and to that voice inside me. And that has led me, again, this is just my experience, but that has led me to reading the Bible every day. That things that didn't exist before, but now just because I'm listening to that voice, is really developing kind of a more spiritual side of myself that I don't think I ever had before. So um, right now, it's just sharing my story in the step system and helping people, no matter what stage of crisis or challenge they're at, to get through that challenge and thrive with the rest of their lives. And really, it's just all about, for me right now, following the inner guidance. I get, as I'm sure you do as well, people on social media telling you, you got to do this, you got to buy this program, you got to do this. And my response to that is, no, I don't. I'm good. I'm doing exactly what is right for me. Spirit, God, the universe. I'm listening to that voice, and that's the most important thing. No one can take that from me.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Sometimes people talk about, you have a gut feeling about something, and it's like, yeah, that's that inner voice giving you guidance. And I gotta say, I know, speaking from my personal experience, when I've listened to that, it's turned out well. There's been a reason. And I can also think of times where I did not listen to my gut, and I wish I had. So,
Mm.
and there's something to that I fully believe. And I honestly, I was not expecting that as the answer, but I love that answer.
It just came up. I'm not, I really don't, and this is why I love sharing my story. I have the same core message and core the step system and core beliefs and everything. However, Sue, it's really amazing that it comes out a little differently every time. I'm not planning on it coming out differently every time, but I believe that's for a reason, because someone in that, either in that audience listening to the show, or the host, or someone needed to hear the message that way on that particular day. And I really believe that.
I love it. Well, and with the folks that you've interacted with, have you gotten feedback or stories from others of how your words and how your step system has helped them?
Really, it's just breaking it down for them. And kind of my by sharing my story, I don't mean to like diminish anyone else's struggles or challenges or anything like that, but by sharing my story and breaking that down, people just I feel like open up, and it's just like, oh, I can see, okay, I can see myself going through that same thing within what you shared. Therefore, I can apply kind of what you're teaching, and break down within those stories that you share. I can apply that to my own situation, and it really gives them hope that it is possible. Because as I'm sure you know, at first, when you're ever in an acute situation or a traumatic injury, it's so traumatic that the doctors have to give you the worst case scenario. They can't paint a rosy picture. Um, However, there is like the rosy picture that is possible. You just have to listen to, like, for me, it was running out of the hospital. So listening to myself that, okay, you're going to run out of the hospital. That's what I heard. That voice, that's what I heard inside of me. So, and then following that, I think too many of us will kind of explain that away and kind of rationalize, oh no, not me, I could never do that, or like imposter syndrome or something like that. um but it's all about following that inner guidance. I feel like, because we all have the answers, we all know what we're supposed to do, we just don't listen to ourselves.
Mm, that is true words of wisdom right there. Oh, well, and I gotta ask, before I forget to ask, what is your website?
Oh sure, it's Nick, just my name, nickprefontaine.com.
Excellent.
Yeah.
nickprefontaine.com. And I'm just thinking here, you're also an author, is that correct?
Yes, yeah, three-time Amazon best-selling author. That those books are all dedicated towards I'm still a partner in a small family business, real estate business. So those are all like real estate related.
Okay.
Um, and not my story in the step system. I haven't got there yet to write a book and pen a book on my story particularly and the step system. So those are the the books that I'm Amazon bestselling author on. Those are real estate related.
Excellent. Well, and so what is next for you? What kind of things are you looking forward to with your journey here, and with all the things related to your speaking and whatnot? Where are you headed next? What do you look forward to?
I just and I've got this question before. I'm just so happy doing what I'm doing and sharing my message and that it's resonating with so many people. I just want to do more of it. Um, I just want to share more of my story and get the step system in more people's hands. That's really the goal.
Perfect. I love that. Well, and I gotta say, we do have one other person in the wings here. Marianne of Waikiki is joining us today as well. I want to bring her on in and see what thoughts she has as she's been listening here as well. She's with the Acts of Kindness series, her website, actsofkindnessseries.com. Marianne, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me be here. And aloha, Milwaukee. I'm actually watching you live on television. You guys look great on TV, and congratulations. We have closed caption. Now, my book trailer flyer came up. I'm the author and Apple game developer of the Acts of Kindness series, featuring 200 folk manist puppets. The books are written for ocean cleanup, anti bullying, and climate change. And we're getting back to school pretty soon, next month, August. So teachers can take action with an organization called Donors Choose. That's donorschoose.org to request copies of the books and the coloring books with fingerspelling ASL alphabet, that's sign language alphabet, not only for our regular classrooms, special education classrooms, our autistic classrooms, and our hearing impaired classrooms. These Acts of Kindness series are amazing. So all classroom teachers again can go to Donors Choose. And we're excited. Saturday, August 8th is Lionsgate. It's 8/8. And Santa Papa John will be storytelling our third book, Righteous Acts of Kindness, featuring Pono, the Hawaiian polo pony, with a deaf rider. And these books are on Amazon. So thank you so much for having me be here. I'm also the creative director on the World of Ability. And great to meet you, Nick. Congratulations on your work, especially with the brain trauma. We have another guest, John Kennedy, that he's got a boot camp brain training that you should connect with. I just sent him a photo of you. And again, how can we get a hold of you, Nick?
So you can find me at my website, the nickprefontaine.com.
Excellent. Well, and what is when you have a take-home message for your listeners? What is the message you'd like to leave with folks?
All right. So I talked about that voice, following that voice, and it's not negative, by the way. That voice, not a negative voice, like you can't do this or you can't do that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what I'm referring to is the positive, uplifting voice. So I think if no matter what you're going through, challenge, crisis, trauma, um, it's my it's my feeling that you do have an inkling of what you should be doing, a direction you should be taking. And really, if I can encourage everyone out there, is just to take that small first step, because once you take that first step, your next step is always going to be available to you. You have to trust that. You have to follow it.
Excellent. Well, and when you do your speaking engagements, do you have different topics that you tend to hit, or is it mostly telling your story, or do you have some other things? I know it all kind of relates back in, but thought it would be worth asking that question.
Yeah, so with there's a number of different there's a number of really so there's a number of different formats, I would say. So in the keynote, that's kind of a that's a one that's kind of a one track thing where I'm able to really get into teaching the step system, which I really only gave a 10,000-foot view. But like I said, if you go to my website, you can learn all about it for free. Um, and it's really, I get the opportunity in my keynotes to the 45 and 60-minute keynotes to really teach the step system and it tells some really funny stories from when I was in the hospital. And I think it's really how I've always been. It's really my essence. I look at everything through the lens of, okay, how is this funny? Like, and I think that that view is really um something I didn't realize until recently, but that's kind of my coping mechanism. Is I view everything through, okay, what's funny about this? And always, all throughout my recovery and all throughout my life, I didn't have time to share it, but I also overcame a voice challenge later in my life, and I did the same thing. I used the step system before I even knew it was a system, by the way, and always looked at everything through how is this funny? And then once I overcame that, I was like, all right, I have something here. I need to be telling more people about this. And that was really the impetus for wanting to start Common Goal and to share the step system with the world.
Yeah, and what a great outlook. I honestly that thought has not crossed my mind like that. I appreciate you saying it because yeah, to take that view to be able to say, how is this funny? That takes a total different, oh my gosh. I think about so many people feeling like the world's against me and everything's negative. You know, they take that pessimistic kind of view and how it's bad for me, bad, to take that and totally put it on its head to say, how is this situation funny? Boy, does that lift everything to a total different level. It just makes me, even just thinking that makes me feel lighter. And, that it's just a great attitude to have. And I am so glad you shared that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I can't help myself. Oftentimes in meetings where it's like we're short on time and everything. It's like, not now, Nick. Well, we got to do that. I just can't help it. It's just who I am. I just have to. There's always a way to make something. There's humor in everything, and I think you just have to
Yeah.
look for it.
I love it. And as our time is wrapping up here, I wonder if you want to share any last nugget of what of what you do. What is one of your favorite nuggets that you like to share with people?
Yeah, I can leave you with this. I already shared that there's whatever you're going through, there's some direction that you know you should be taking and to take that first step. I would also say this for those of you that are out there that you're just kind of down on yourself and you're hopeless about your situation and everything like that. Just start with a baby step. Because once you take that baby step, the next step is always going to be possible, but you won't get to a next step without a baby step. You got to at least take a baby step in the direction where you want to go.
Excellent. Well, this again is Nick Prefontaine joining us here at Ability MKE Now. Thank you so much for joining us from all of us here. As always, we thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a good night.